Ooh. Good night, Joe. Guys, give me one more second. How you doing? Oh, man. Look, let me just give a couple words. I've got to go upstairs for something quickly. Bear Mama, what's happening? I value my listeners. Good evening. Give me 1 minute, literally. Oh, good evening, everyone. Listen. Oh, it's a day. I mean, let me know if you're a student. I'd love to know who's on the show. What's this? How do you join? Okay, so what you do is there not a you can request to join. I can't tell what it's like on your screen because I'm never really on the other screen like a non-host. I guess I'm never a guest, Suzy, but if someone can help Suzy understand how to join the show, that would be great. So it's going to be interesting, I guess. Request to join. Tell us if you're a student, if you're a social work experienced, if what year you're in, if you're doing a step up program. Let us know what you guys are doing before I bring Suzy in. Suzy, you have to request. Oh, there she is. No, hold on. Yeah, there you are. Yeah. Here we go. She's coming. So today we've got a session where we are having a social work student Q&A for a social worker. ASYE, how you doing, Suzy?
I'm fine, thank you. That was so embarrassing. I can't believe it. Okay, yeah, I know how to do it now.
No one cares. Don't worry. No one cares. Yeah, let us know where you're at in your studies, guys, or what field you're in. It would be really helpful. Yeah, and I'm waving to everyone. Suzy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. That's a really big privilege.
No, it's our privilege. It honestly is. And someone just finished their ASY last October, qualified now. What are you going to do? You're going what do you call it? Locum. What are you going to do? She's Benji. What are you going to do? Good question, isn't it? And we've got someone else here that said they're ASY social worker. Lovely. And I guess, guys, look, we're going to have a social work Q&A. So Suzy is a student. I'm going to let her introduce herself. And then what we can do is you can ask your questions. You can ask your questions to Suzy as well. Because I don't care what stage you're at, whether you're thinking about social work, first year social work student, lovely, or if you are experienced, we've all got something to learn. So I'm never going to sit here saying I'm at the top of the hill, I'm the king of the hill. Absolutely not, and never. In fact, that's a dangerous place to be. But Suzy, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and then you can also tell everyone how we met. Interesting.
Hi everyone, my name is Suzy. I'm a first year social work student, and I'm not like reading everything. I'm still footing. I'm very anxious about a lot of things, but excited. But I feel like as a first year, the realities of social work are things I'm completely unaware of. And after talking to Curtis and other social work professionals, I found out I had the whole thing wrong. Yeah. Yeah, I had the whole thing wrong.
The whole thing.
The whole thing, everything. Yeah. I thought it was like volunteering, like advocacy, like, oh, here's a problem, let's go fix it. So easy. I didn't know there was like tons of processes. We met at the social work and the mentor did an event at the London Bank London
South Bank University.
Uni, they kind of collaborated with that social work society, and it was really informative. It was honest, raw, natural, and they spoke about a lot of difficult topics, but they spoke about it really honestly. And then after, we got to network a little bit as well. But yeah.
Yeah, pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Suzy, is you're going to learn a lot, because I know you as far as to say you're open-minded.
Yeah.
Roughly, how old are you?
Oh, I'm 20.
20. Okay. 20-ish, but it's 20 actually. So you're going to be 20, what, 2, 3 by the time you finish?
Yes, and that relates to a question that the Social Work Chronicles put through. What is that going to feel like for me as a young person? Am I going to be looked down upon?
So is this your first question?
Yeah, I got it from the Social Work Chronicles.
What, did they send you the question?
Yeah, they sent me the question saying, their ageism, are you discriminated against because you're younger? Do people take you seriously?
Okay, so this is the first question. Honestly, it doesn't matter who you are when you get into social work. There's going to be something that you're going to be disliked for, whether it's the color of your skin, your accent, your age, your gender, something. And even the stereotypes that we cannot escape from, which are, you just want to take our kids away, we don't want to talk to you.
Oh my God, not that one.
Yeah, I had it today, but it was actually a really nice conversation with someone who worried about it. And one of you gotta, I had the session with Vanessa last week, and she said, bring your young self into this game. Don't worry about it. If you're worrying about that, it puts you on your back foot.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it.
That's the encouragement we get from social workers. Don't worry about it. You're gonna have to be tough. The case. But if someone's being extremely racist or extremely horrible, is there a way that you can pass that case on?
For racism, it should not be expected that the case is passed on unless there is a safeguarding issue that we know that is a barrier to.
Okay.
But generally, if someone says, I don't want to work with anyone black, and if you're working in London, you really wouldn't get that, to be fair. But I can't imagine you get that problem. But if a manager is willing to do that without consulting with you, there's a massive problem.
Okay.
And I would say when someone is being racist or discriminatory, I would say stay with them, because you're going to teach them. Stay with that service user, teach them who you are. Don't run from them. Like, I'm your social worker, and if they don't want to work with you, you document that. But you don't get to live in this society and be in need and get to choose what color skin treats you.
Okay.
You know what I mean? There are other questions here. We'll come back to these questions. But I know Suzy. Suzy is a girl on fire. She's got about 100 questions. So we'll try and mix it up. It's not a problem.
I think one of my first questions ever is, what is your why? Why did you get into social work? And apart from like traditional social work, like you've got a degree, you've got a career, are there any volunteering or advocacy things you did before your degree that relate to social work?
I was on the front line in terms of, initially, I came in through my wife, but that's where I met my wife, is as a mentor. She trained me up back in 99, 2000.
Wow.
And then I did residential work. I did youth offending. I've done lots of residential work experience. I've worked in statutory and non-statutory working in the youth offending service. And then I was going for certain other jobs. I guess it's what I would call a blessing. I went for a job. I can't remember what the job was years ago. An agent got me a job. It was really good money. And it worked out to about 50K. This was years ago. This was about 7 years ago. Yeah, about seven or so years ago. And I didn't get the job. They messed up my timing, and someone else got the job. And I was going to get that job because I'm really good at interviews, right? And I didn't get that job. And if I'd got that job, I wouldn't have done my degree. And I drive past. It was at Kensington and Chelsea Town Hall. And I didn't get that job. And I'm telling you, I was also a pastoral manager in a school.
Okay.
for a special educational needs secondary girls' school. One of the toughest jobs I've ever had.
Because?
Because girls can be challenging in a small space that really have gone through a lot of abuse and neglect. And in a small space, being a male, extremely challenging because the onslaught of behavioral challenges was constant.
I can imagine.
So it had me heightened, and it was a very stressful job because I had a job to do, but I was managing behavior constantly. So I found that really challenging. Yeah. So then I decided to do social work because at the time I wanted to go into youth offending. They wanted social workers. There was a period where local authorities just wanted social workers. So I said, instead of me looking around for work, I want to be headhunted.
Mm.
And then when I qualified, I became a yacht worker. And then I got into social work, into the long-term team. Long-term team meaning safeguarding team.
So you're very well versed. Like every form of social work, you have some form of experience in.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, I'm well versed with working with people.
Right.
But yeah, social work is a completely different thing now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned the word blessing, and it's kind of like your rejection of that particular job, the 50K one, became your direction for your degree and the career that you've built upon. Are you a person of faith? If so, how does that affect your practice?
Man, you are deep, bro. Okay. So, yeah, I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
Um,
Praise God.
yeah, okay. Yeah, let's do it. And, I'm a Christian, and it's helped me with my Christianity because my Christianity, people say I put my religion first, and I'm like, well, what does that mean? And I think that Christianity is lived first. It's seen through how you live.
Amazing.
Through my personality, through my traumas, through my strengths. So what does that look like? It looks like different things to different people.
Mm.
The first thing I need to do in my job is to make sure people are safe. Christianity. The first thing I'm not going to do is pray for someone. I'm going to say, how are you? What do you need? So we're meeting needs. So the Christian walk and social work is got have very parallel morals. And so it's evolving constantly. It's not just one thing. I don't just sit here. I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm like, oh, I can modify my faith this way. And my social work is also evolving as well.
That's amazing.
But what I don't do is I don't come in with a blueprint of what I need to be. I didn't come in with because I don't, you know what it is because when we were studying as students, Christians were scared because they're like, how do I uphold these principles? Look, you may come across things that you don't agree with, but your priority is to make sure that people are well and safe.
Mm.
And without that, you don't have anything. Your morals don't mean anything. Your religion doesn't even mean anything much. When a child doesn't feel safe or they're being hurt or neglected, it doesn't matter what their morals are. Are you making them safe so that they can grow? So that's where it kind of, they are kind of really close in agenda.
I love how you put that so simply. And I remember one of the best advice you gave me was, Suzy, never ever something that you're not improving on or that you're not living. Don't go and preach to other people something you haven't been through. So you do a lot of, I think you embody authenticity. So do you want to talk to us about This Is Marriage UK and how that influences? Because I think in so many ways, marriages build families and family build.
Yeah.
When you have secure families, it helps massively. So talk to us. And this is a shameless plug. I've looked at the content. It's really good.
Suzy, you're interesting, man. I'll tell you. I did not expect that. Okay, cool. So I've been running this platform for relationships and marriage for years on Instagram. This is Marriage UK. I don't plug myself very well, but you can do it for me if you want. But that's where we've been having a lot of very, very in-depth conversations about how to navigate relationships and marriage. Been doing that for about 7, 8 years. And there's a ton of content on there. It's not flashy, but when you click on the lives, I mean, it is as deep can be. So that's my other thing. So that's why I don't mind putting my face out there. on media, although I am quite an introverted person, really. But yeah, that's me right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a question that I always had for you, and it was like, is someone in your immediate circle or your immediate family in social work? And how did that impact you? You mentioned your wife mentored you. What did that look like? Was there anybody else?
No, I guess I'm the first person in my family to get a degree.
Wow.
And I got into social services because of my wife. Yeah, when I met her. Yeah, no, shamelessly. Social worker coach. I'm sorry. Um, she is a contextual safeguarding coordinator.
What is that, please?
Yeah, so in some local authorities, when you are concerned about a child, let's say a child is going missing regularly, or there's a level of harm that's coming to them, and we're like, how do we navigate this child? You will go to her, and you will consult with her as a social worker or yacht worker or youth worker as a matter of protocol to say she will help you map out direction.
Right.
And contextual safeguarding is a big thing. And it's something that we have to understand, especially for students, learn about the context of safety. It's an important thing. And we have to, when we have safe, I guess it can be missed in social work sometimes in our assessments, but our assessments are so diverse. But if there's a safety issue where a child is missing or getting hurt and stuff like that, or at risk of or being exploited, then you need to be able to map out an approach or to map out an understanding of the concern. Do you know what I mean? It's not like Johnny's going missing. Well, we need to get him back home. Some professionals will do that, but it's like, have you consulted about what their safety looks like for the child? Like, safety isn't about being. What if being at home isn't safe? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, frequent missing persons reports. Yeah, some kids are like that. Why are they running away from home? What is it? And then the parents, they're turning up all innocent sometimes. Sometimes it's the parents making it unsafe for the child. I'd rather be on the road till 4 o'clock in the freezing cold than be at home. That's deep. Social work career coaches, he's got it on this. Safeguard is huge. It's huge nowadays. In many local authorities don't have a separate category. Yeah, the context of safety. And, I work in the assessment team. I guess if I think that it's an issue, I will put it in my assessment, but it's not for every assessment. But yeah, that's what that's about. Yeah, if that makes sense.
It does. I was kind of going to ask, like, because I'm going into social work and I'm learning about it. I've started my degree 2022 to 2023. I have YouTube, TikTok, all different kinds of resources. There's free library content, journal articles, and then I have people who I have the privilege of being able to contact directly and have mentor me. Who did you have? What were your stepping stones? What content was there? Was there like an OG social work YouTuber that I don't know about that you had?
I would say that there's a cousin I have, or my wife's cousin, and I worked with her actually in a London borough. She was an inspiration,
Right.
because of the way she did it. She did it very silently. She just was, boom, she was a social worker. I was like, wow. I want to mention her name, but I know she's quite shy. She's a team leader, a manager now. I've kind of told her, but I don't think I've told her enough. She was an inspiration because of the way she did it, and she's a really good manager. In terms of learning, when I started on my student journey, there was nothing. So I started to document my journey to say, now, I've documented part of my journey, and I haven't put it out. It's on my Patreon channel.
Yeah.
Okay, I've put out the 2 chapters on there.
Yeah.
To say how I got a first. Because I got a first in my degree. I should boast. I was told off by my therapist that I don't celebrate myself enough, so I'm going to boast a little bit. I got a first. How did I do it? I have previous to this, I had left school with no grades, and so obviously there was like academic trauma. There was reasons why. There was a lot of stuff going on in my life by that. So when I left school, I had no interest in studying again. So what happens is I had to go back because I've got 3 children, I've got to run a house, and I've got to up my game. I've got to up my income, and it's also to show my kids achievement is something, just something more than just going to work. I'm in a different age from my parents. They could just go to work. I can't. I have to do something more. And so I wanted them to see that culture change. So I did not have someone. I wasn't on the tail of somebody.
Right.
I had no choice. I had no choice but to succeed. And I wanted to succeed in a way that they would go, a degree is nothing. It's just a stepping stone. Because, I have to. I'm a black man. I can't just float.
No. Yeah.
Floating don't work for us. You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But that's also insane, because what did your life look like those 3 years when you were going to uni? Who did the school runs? How did you section time aside for going to uni and doing coursework? What did that look like?
It's a big question. Help me to not waffle. Cut me if you have to, right?
Okay.
I was a full-time student in South Bank. I had 3 children in school. My wife was working and I was working, but I had a little bit more flexibility, so I mostly did the school run. Although my eldest child at the time could have done some, did a couple of them a week as well. And then I also, pick them up, take them home, dinner, do the life. But also I had to work part-time. You know what I mean? And doing that it was actually 4 years. Doing that was hard. And financially it was hard as well. Like when you lay it out on a sheet of paper, it didn't add up.
All the accolades to you. I don't
It didn't add up.
I don't know how you did that.
Thinking back, it was like, oh my gosh. But we did it as a team.
Yeah.
Single parents, I don't know if they'll find it easier or harder, but if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Not everyone's ready, but if you're going for it, you can do it. Make it happen. Yeah.
So I remember asking, like, something that's really popular, people get very excited about when they see social work is the massive paycheck, or like the agency work. And like loads of people in my class, although we're only in first year, I believe might be a bit misinformed, because when people come in and talk to us about social work, they're like, yeah, I do agency work, I get this amount of money. And then people are like, wow, that's amazing. That could be me. Would you advise for a newly qualified social worker to go straight into agency work? If so, why not?
It depends. How much experience you got on the front line? How much experience that you have with pressure? How much experience you have with time constraints? So, me being a parent and having to, when I come home, after I do uni or after I work, do I have the capacity to go and iron clothes, do the dishes and feed the kids or do the homework with them, right? That kind of pressure has helped me, not just me. I'm talking like just me. I'm married. There's 2 of us here, but it can still be a lot. But we've had, my eldest is she should be 20.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we've had a few years of experience of pressure. And if you can manage pressure, and if you have a mindset that says, I can do this.
Yeah.
Along with the experience, you don't have to go to do your ASYE or to do permanent. You don't have to. It's not. I think it's for a minority. But I think when you're in your 20s, I don't advise it, because you probably won't get the job anyway. If it's a locum job, you probably won't get it. Depending on the type of team you're going into. But if you're going into like safeguarding and assessments, you probably won't get the job. But if you do, they're going to give you this week. As soon as you step through the door, they're going to give you a case. As soon as you step through the door, they're going to give you a case. Sorry. And then as soon as, the next day, they're going to give you another case. And then they're going to give you, within a week or 2, you're going to have your maximum caseload.
So I was going to ask, for agency and stuff like that, what are the most amazing and most exciting things about it? And then Is it agent?
Yeah. No, it's
Oh,
exciting things. I'm like, oi.
okay. What are the positives to it? In the reality, what are the positives to it, and what are the negatives?
I'm not going to say positives or negatives. I'm going to say differences between permanent and agency. I'm going to say it that way because I think I'd be slaughtered for the worst cases. You know that. When you're agency, you're going to get the work. You're going to get tough cases. It depends where you work. Like there are certain parts of the UK you're going to get a workload that has not been worked on when you're agency. Like they want you to come in and just do it.
That's so scary.
And Miss Nessie has said, they're going to give you the worst cases. That can happen easily. But when we say the worst cases, you just work a case. It's like, it depends on your mindset to it. But they're going to be complex. Do you know what I mean? Families that have been in and out of the system for 10 years. You're going to get that. But when you're permanent or going into ASYE, they're going to, well, actually, when you're ASY, it's actually a third category, is ASYE or newly qualified. They're going to take their time and give you, maybe just a case. You might get a complex case, but they'll probably give you one or two at first.
Right.
Then with your assessor, they're going to, bring you in slowly and cap your caseload. One of my friends, who's the same age as me, who I studied with, she was at a very high caseload as an ASYE. Because they think they can give it to you, they're going to give it to you. Right. So let's kind of knock out some of the whole, on the paperwork it says limits. That depends. Obviously locum, you get a lot more money, but you don't know when you're going to be knocked off.
Right.
Locum, you're going to get a lot more money, but you've got to sort out your pension. Sorry, locum, you're going to get a lot more money, but you can get 3 weeks notice. Locum still takes 6 weeks to get a job sometimes, because you've got to be processed through their ADICO, which is like a locum HR.
So there's no security.
It depends how you look at it, because when you're saying security, if the workplace that you're working at is short-staffed, they're not going, and you're doing your job, they're not going to get rid of you.
Right.
In fact, they'll probably twist your arm to become permanent. Because there's a shortage. So security looks different now. I have been in a job where they've just said the project's come to an end.
And how much notice did you have?
3 weeks. But I ended up spending 6 weeks out of work.
That's not...
Because of hiccups with the local authority and the referencing company. So it's like, you could say, okay, I'm going to earn double money. But when you look at the whole 12 months, not necessarily.
Right.
And and as locum, you think, oh, I can't take a holiday. Because you're covering your bills or you're covering your lifestyle. You may actually work harder.
That's that shocking thing you told me. 3 years and you only had 2 weeks off.
3 years. How many weeks off have I had from work? Not more than a month in like 3 years or something like that. Yeah. I don't remember the last time I took holiday. Christmas period is the actual break.
So how many weeks off do you get per year?
It's my choice.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a risk.
It's a life you choose to live. Now you have to understand, I've been locum forever. I've been locum easily for 8, 9 years, 10 years. So for me, it's nothing. People think that it's a psychological thing, because security, when it's permanent, it can, if you say like, I just want to sit here and be a social worker and climb the ladder, fine. It makes you, it disable you in part. But some people love that security. But someone like me, if you're creative or you're like, I like to hustle, I like to keep it moving, it is depressing. So to keep it moving is important for someone like me.
So why do you think so many people are leaving social work? Because I think in December last year, about 4,000 people left social work. And like, why is that? Because I'm going into social work, seeing that people are leaving. Am I walking into a burning building?
Yes, you are.
Oh.
But but there's nothing wrong with walking into a burning building because firemen do it. Firemen do that because they are not under any delusion what the job is. People who walk into a burning building without prep, well, this is why we have in these lives to help people prepare for social work because they're running out the door. I didn't go into social work thinking I was going to save families and I was going to carry them out of a burning building. So I don't come into the delusion of it.
Right.
You know? But then I know that because when I did youth offending, it was like, I'm going to tick the boxes first. My priority is to make sure my assessments are done on time. And I'm taking a kid and I'm taking a child through a process. Now, for some, they'll say, make sure the child's safe. Yes, I will do that, but on paper.
Well, that's not fair. Why is the social work system like that? You lot love paperwork. There's too much paperwork. It doesn't help you reach people.
That's the burning building I went into. It's not my decision for people. Yeah, but you can't. You're going in to process people. If you can find the capacity, you can try and help them. If I'm that honest, I don't know if there's any institutions out there that would be upset with what I've just said. I'll come to your questions in a sec, guys. If I might be I don't know, they might be angry with what I'm saying. You're going into process people. Like I've received a referral today. The family's in need. I can just do the assessment. I'm a part of the assessment team, so I can do work with the family. I'm at liberty to do what I can. I can visit the family as much as I want. I can give them as much coaching as I want. But if I don't do that assessment and do it properly, I haven't done anything. But that assessment doesn't get, on paper, that assessment helps everyone understand who the family is.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, the assessment doesn't mean anything to the family. The work that I do with the family is what helps. I can help organize them. I can help get them to a service. I can refer them to the long-term team if they need it. I can take it further. I will recommend protecting a child or recommend the removal of a child because the parents can't do it. So what I'm saying is to you is like, I can go into a home and I can sit down with a young person and they just start crying their eyes out. Or a mother might just start crying her eyes out. And I sit down in that home for 2 hours, helping them work things out. I don't have to do that. I choose to do that.
See, yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, everyone always says social work is not a 9 to 5. And I'm like, yeah, but then no, it's not a 9 to 5. So what does a week in your life or a typical day in your life look like? Because yesterday, yeah, Suzy, we're going to draft the live. How is everything? And then you're like, I've just got an emergency phone call. How often does that happen? What does your life look like? Your work life?
For example, this week I'm on duty.
Right.
Without a toilet break is what Miss Cynthia said. Yes. Yeah, sometimes no. I'm bursting to go toilet and
people, social workers are skipping lunches.
Oh yeah. Listen, I was going to post it then. I didn't do it because I was driving a lot. I was in the office and I spent a lot of time driving. Now, the truth is, unless I jump up from my desk and go and get lunch, it's not going to happen. Or unless I bring it in, it's beside me. When you choose social work, we have one of the highest mortality rates in profession-wise. So if you're basically choosing a very interesting way to commit suicide, it's real. That is as very real as I can put it.
Wait.
Yeah.
What?
You have to, especially people without children, social workers do not fall. You have to look after yourself. It's very easy to mess your life up. You put on weight, you eat crap, You know, you're going through 7 cups of coffee, you're going through 7 Red Bulls, you're going through all. It's very easy to do that.
I'm seeing people say facts. Yes, this is the reality. Yes, normal. This is
There's too many questions going on. I've got too many private questions. It's too much. Yeah, what was that? Guys, please share this. If you can share this live, great. Social workers need to know, right?
but really, how do
You got, you go on, yeah.
I'm sorry, we'll get back to that. But how do you say this is enough? These are my boundaries. Self-care. What does that? How? And then like, how do you tell
Just
you
do it.
this one's a bit too much?
No, no. What you mean? This case?
Yeah.
No, 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 no.
Do you get to say can you pay me back my hours, the extra hours I do? Can I get paid for them?
So some local authorities will allow you to work up toil. Some of them don't. They say we'll give you a day off every 10 days, and some of them, you know, they've got their different arrangements. But you have to understand when you're talking. Someone's laughing there. When you're talking about toil, if you work, let's say if you put in 50 hours for the week, which is possible, that includes driving. That's a long week of social work. It's not just 50 hours, it's 50 hours of social work, right? Paperwork and management meetings and so forth. And then you've earned 15 hours toil. You cannot in reality get it back. Because the impact on your body and your mind, you cannot put 15 hours back into your body by taking off 2 days and think you can get back. Your body doesn't take that as the maths.
Yeah.
So that's why, and I remember Nana said it before, if you don't look after yourself as a standard, you're done. You have to look after yourself. You have to say, I go to the gym on this day at this time. I go and eat here. I go and soak here. Whatever you do, you have to have something. If you just do social work, you're done.
You have to have a very, very disciplined structure to your lifestyle.
You have to have a religion about it.
Wow. And the way you said you've been in this kind of industry and this kind of work for a decade, have you ever experienced burnout? And if so, how did you recover?
I've got a level of resilience that is both good and bad. I can go very long time under pressure.
Right.
But of course I'm going to pay. Whereas some people, they don't have that stretch. I've been unsure because I've been through a lot over time. The older you get, you're probably more pressure you can take. You know, someone said it. It's my daughter. Yeah, she's supposed to be sleeping, isn't it? See what I'm saying? So it's hard when you have children. When you have children, you develop a level of resilience. Because I've 20 years of poor sleep. I have a level of resilience. But you still pay. Well, I will still pay. I will pay for that. So come Friday, for example, I would just... nothing. I would do nothing. I mean, when someone says, what are you doing this weekend? I'm saying 0.
And to social workers, that's a motive. Like, that's a great thing.
No, to me. For some social workers out there, like, I'm going to gym every morning. I have to think twice about it because tomorrow I'm going to do a school run before I go to work.
Right. So
yeah, I don't get that freedom all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sitting there saying, I don't do this alone, you know. My wife is on the show. I'm not telling you who she is. She does a lot, so I can be out a lot, and she does it. But when I come home, I try to some level, take over or contribute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on. I'm talking a lot. Go on.
So I was going to say, like, you're very well established and well versed.
Well established.
Yes.
There, like, don't put me too high up there.
Yes. The social work and the mentor has also been saying, like, I give my employees toil hours and etc. Would you ever consider being a manager? And if so, yes or no, what does good management in social work look like?
Would I consider being a manager? I would consider it. What does being a manager look like? Is that what you asked? A good manager.
There's good ones that put different things into place that help the more workplace productivity or help their employees feel better about themselves.
Some of you want to join and I can't. I'm struggling. Okay. A good manager will ask you how you are.
Right.
A good manager will cover things that you've missed. You will, as social workers, you are going to miss bits. They will remind you with a smile. A good social worker, a good manager will, if you're struggling, ask you, are you okay? A good manager will cover your back when you make mistakes or when you've got things that need doing. A good manager is a good person to work with. A good manager does not sit on top of you, but stands beside you.
Wow.
Feel like they're beside you and not over you.
Mm.
If you don't have a good manager in social work, you are not happy as a person.
That's horrible. I wanted to ask, you said, oh, what was I going to ask you? Oh, this is so embarrassing. I was going to ask, oh, yeah. So you said a good manager will help you with your mistakes or cover your mistakes. And I think I've spoken
In a sense, like not cover them up, but cover you, like do them, rectify them for you. Yeah.
to you. And there's this thing called black box thinking. I think I've sort of spoken to you about it, and people are encouraging it to be applied in social work. So basically, what black box thinking is not just firing someone because they've made a mistake and then locking their case files and then sacking people and all of this, is rather looking into the case and making sure that you're sort of supporting them through, and then whatever mistake they've made, rectify it and add that to the body of knowledge for social work. Black box thinking, is that used in social work practice?
It should be. It is really, in my experience, you know, part of this is down to the personality of the social worker, the individual manager, sorry. So the individual managers will generally manage within their character.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but what about, that's not fair, because what if you have a horrible manager then? Shouldn't there be policy or legislation that's
There is. There's guidance for managers. I don't think managers are monitored enough in terms of their management style. But I've only had one bad manager in social care. If it actually was in youth justice, but a very bad manager. A whole string of bad managers. That's what they were. Miss Nessie said leave, and I say leave. Don't waste your energy fighting this social work. Go to locum or go and apply for another job. You will get another job very quickly. If you want to fight, fight. But do you want to be in that environment? It's not fair. You're not, I mean, we are broken. Humanity is broken. Don't expect nice people because they're in social services. The same thing in the nurse. I've got family who work in hospitals. It's the same problem in every industry, private and public. You're going to get so, and if you don't like it as a social worker, you get to leave. I would like to ask answer a couple of questions. I think I don't know how far back I can go. Let's just see if we can run through it. So many comments. Thank you for your comments, though, guys. Miss Nessie, you are running half of this show in the back end. I appreciate it. Managers that support their staff. Okay. Miss Nessie, yeah, challenge me. Yeah, okay. There was a question here. Yeah. How can I help my confidence in being a social worker? You better believe in yourself.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna ask this question.
Okay, go on, ask it then.
Yeah, I was like, Curtis, I'm not gonna be able to do this. I'm dropping out. And you were like, self-belief is everything. Self-belief is what got me why I'm here. So that's my theme for this year. Talk to us about self-belief.
You're talking to someone now who did not believe in themselves for many years.
Yeah.
Like, I could preach you into something, but I didn't believe it myself. I was gonna post about this today. Like, has anyone ever can anyone in the show relate to giving advice to someone but not believing it for themselves? Do you know what I mean? Like, there are many Christians out there who believe in God, that he saves, but they do not believe that they are saved. This is a situation that humans find themselves in. Like, I was helping people become great. I just put up a poster last week about, or a week before, about one of my best friends. I have about 3 or 4 of my closest friends that I grew up from young. One of them died in just at the beginning of the pandemic. And he was there for everybody. He was the man. But he couldn't believe it for himself. He couldn't apply any of it to himself. When I started to apply self-belief was because I had no choice. Because I recognized, and I'll tell you where it started. When I went to do my maths, remember I left school with nothing. I had no grades when I left school. When I went to do my maths, my first, they gave me a test exam to enter college, and I got about 40% on my maths, and it was like level 1, people. Level 1. Level 2, when I went to do my maths now in the same year, I failed the exam. It was functional skills. I failed the exam at 62%. They said, you got 2 weeks. And I passed that exam at 92%. You know what I did differently? I just believed. I had to switch my mindset. And I tell my son this all the time. If you believe in yourself, it will improve your performance. You have to believe you're the best social worker out there, even though you know you're not. You apply for a job, whether you think you're going to get it or not, and you go for that job and you say, oh, I can do this. And that has been the difference between me shaking in a corner and actually putting out an Instagram platform, the social work race. It was self-belief that did it. I didn't do it because I want to show the world what social workers. I was doing it to express my self-belief.
I really appreciate that you did that. You was one of the people that actually encouraged me to even start an Instagram in the first place. So thank you. And yes.
It's all right. I've got a question here. Kuti. Curtis, what do you think this new thing local boroughs are doing with permanent staff stuck on a 3-year contract after graduating after ASY? They've invested, haven't they? They're investing in you. They need to find ways to hold on to social workers. They're running out the door. It is hard. And it's hard partly because we're short on staff. I think that's the first thing. People that hate us, they don't know what we actually do.
Amen. There we go.
Yeah.
People are so horrible to say. What do you think of the stigma in the media or in general of how people feel about and treat social workers? And how can we change that?
Social work, let me go back to the first question and I'll link it in. We are so short-staffed, we are doing more than we need to. And we're expected to cover maybe 1 or 2 many bases more than necessary. Some local authorities have teams to cover work that I'm doing now. Oh, we've got a business support team, we'll cover that. You just get on with the assessment. Some local authorities don't have that funding. So when you work there, they might pay a bit more, but the work is a lot more. Now, because they're short-staffed, we're doing a lot. Your question was, oh gosh, what was your question again? I've got to link it in.
Workers have in the media.
What happens is, because of this extra pressure, social workers really don't have a voice anyway. So what happens is, you're going to get failures. If you pay people £10 an hour, long hours, to work in a mental health hospital, you are going to get failures because they have no value at the end of the day and during the job. You're going to recruit anyone that will take it. When they take it, they're going to be overworked or under pressure. They haven't had sufficient training. You're going to get failures. With social workers, when we've got more work than we can handle, something's going to be missed. Depending on the type of social worker who's scared of people or lacking in confidence, social workers who lack confidence are going to fail in a certain way. Social workers who are scared of people or scared of black people or white people or gypsies, or social workers who don't have much money or have got a lot of pressures at home, they're going to fail in a certain way. Cost of living has gone up. Social workers have to think, shall I go on this visit?
That's horrible.
Can't afford the petrol. Yeah, I'll claim it back, but I ain't even got petrol to put in.
Okay. I was gonna ask, they don't let you claim back your
No, no,
petrol.
no. You should, but a social worker, you can't assume that because you get your expenses back that I can afford to put petrol in my car in the first place.
Right.
So I've got to drive 50 miles in that direction, then back to the office, and then back home, and then go and do the school run. Yeah, I'll claim it back, 45p per mile. But I haven't got it to put in, so I'm going to cut a corner. So I'm just imagining scenarios that can happen, and I haven't seen a child. I've done a virtual child, but that child has been abused, and I haven't seen the marks because I can't afford to go. This is something you have to think about. Like social workers, sometimes they're scared to fail, and so they work. Social workers who are scared to fail will work and write in a certain way, and it will aggravate the family. Social workers who have unaddressed biases against a certain demographic, they will skip parts of the work. This is me making assumptions. Social workers who've got 4 kids, one of them's messing around at school, they're not going to do their visits. They're not going to write their assessments properly. Social workers who've got strong accents are rejected by people that they come across. We've got in various boroughs, international recruitment, South Africans come in here, and when white people might hear their accents, they're on their back foot. You can't help me. This is real. So why are they leaving? It's a bloody hard job.
Okay. I was gonna ask,
And you asked what the solution is. I don't know.
that's okay. Well, if Curtis doesn't know the solution, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, because I would like to say money. Let's print some more money. The country's in debt. Let's print some more money. You can't get social workers in the first place. What are you going to do? I think that you should, for starters, there may be actually a solution is get your family practitioners and your key youth workers and give them a degree. Put them on a step-up program. Pay them to become social workers. That's the only way. But they're not even running to do it.
I was gonna ask, like, what do you think of alternative pathways to social work that aren't a degree, so that we can get people in the workforce quickly? Because if we need people to help other people and we need more people in the industry, what's a shortcut?
Shortcut's bad because the shortcut courses are not as rigorous as the degree. Even a master's, if you do a master's in social work from, let's say, psychology, something like that, or sociology, and you go and do a degree in sociology and you do a master's in social work, I, as doing a degree, has got more experience than you. You might be doing a more academically tougher course, but I have more experience because of the amount of time I've spent. You can't just be a social worker. A step-up program, yeah, year and a half, great. You need proper experience to do this job properly if you're going to do it so quickly. So there's drawbacks.
So does that reduce the quality of practice? Yeah.
It will inevitably, but I'm not saying that those who have done it for 1 year or a step-up program are worse. I'm just saying that they don't have the same experience, and the job is already mad like that.
So there was another key question I had from you. There was a lady that came on, it's Arla. She said, put pressure on the government to invest in our communities. So there's that, but there's also the campaign that social work and the mentor are doing to put pressure on the government for protection for social workers. What is the reality of social work? What happens if I have to go into a dangerous home? What do I do when I get uncomfortable? Do I wear a body cam? Do I get to take the case away?
You've asked too many questions. You're going to ask me one at a time now.
Okay. Is social work dangerous?
It can be. Depends where you work. Depends what team. So primarily, you're looking at danger. You're more so looking at safeguarding children and families.
Right.
Maybe some adult mental health, but more children and families, especially in parts of the UK where there's exploitation. Or you might go into a certain demographic where they just throw you out. Or the family history. There's spots of every local authority. There's groups of marginalized communities. Economically or educationally, socially, they're marginalized. And sometimes they can be hostile. They've got a long history of police and social services intervention. And you've got a case today, we need to visit this child, he's got bruises on his body. I mean, for example, today, there was a case that we thought came into us, and it was going to be allocated to me. but I was already doing an emergency visit for someone else, and there was no more social workers available to do it. That shows you that we're short-staffed, in a sense, short-staffed. But not only that, but what if that family that I was allocated were known to be dangerous or had a history of being really adverse to professionals, and there was no other social workers in the office? Do we go? We have to. Do you think the police are just on hand to go? Nana said we're not allowed. And this is the thing. The family needs seeing now. But the child is at risk. So although we're not allowed, what do? Do you leave the child there? This is the reality of social work, is that what's on paper, he had a young person raise a knife to him. Yeah, that can happen. But depending on who was in that house will determine how that plays out. Because you may not know until you're there. Can you just call the police when you're in a house? You can't. I had one case where they was like, this kid was missing. It's probably in that house over there. And I said to the police, we need to go over there. The police said, we don't want to go there. That's not a lie. They don't. The family do not like the police. There was going to be arms out on that street.
Say something.
Real.
And the venter, I'll put some scary story. I've been trying to control my facial expression, but some scary stories in the comment section. And I just wanted to say, if you're looking at this story, if you're looking at the comment section, if you're hearing what Curtis is saying on the live and you're inspired by it, please go and click the link in my bio. Government petition regarding this issue for more protection from social workers. If police themselves are scared and we're the ones helping vulnerable people, can you go and just sign the petition? Oh God, no. No. But yeah, please sign.
But you know what? It is important, guys. Look, I am not here about to scaremonger. I'm being honest with you. Like, we've spoken about this before in previous lives. I want to reiterate something that's important. The work that you put in before the visit is one of your greatest tools. Yeah. That first 30 seconds of speaking to a family is what you do. It's the work that you put into that. So you make a phone call to the family. 99% of the time you get to just make a phone call beforehand. Okay. What if you don't get through to them? You just stand at the door. And if you don't feel safe, you don't go in. Do you know what I mean? Don't go in if you think that this is going to be a problem. No, your manager, you're right. Your manager can't force you to go out on a potential. No, they can't. In fact, they should be encouraging the opposite. And if they do, then you've got a problem. But Miss Nessie said they might do. This is real. But you don't, do not put your life in danger for anyone. Apart from your children, your mum, your dad, people you care about, no one else.
A key question I had was sort of like, oh, I forgot it. That's okay. I'm seeing people in the comment section write about body cameras, panic. What do you think?
Panic buttons are good. I don't have one. My local authority is not dishing them out. They give you a mobile phone.
Oh,
I've worked somewhere where they do that, but I've never used it. But then I've never felt at risk like that. Panic alarms are good, I guess, if you know how to use it. They'll give you a mobile phone that teaches you how to use it, or you can use your iPhone, iWatch, or don't go in. Body cams. I'm 60-40 on them. I don't agree with them.
Because
I think it's aggravating.
To who?
People who might be slightly aggravated.
Yeah. Why does it make them feel like insecure or discriminated against?
You're stereotyped. You're coming in and recording my house.
Yeah.
They're going to probably have to change the law to allow that to happen anyway.
Okay.
To record someone's private dwelling. I don't know how that works. But will it protect? It will only be able to help people identify who perpetrators were. it won't stop you from getting hurt so much. If
I
someone wants to hurt you, they're going to hurt you.
I wanted to ask, because we're talking about situations of tension and values, and we've also spoken about you having not great managers, and because of the nature of social work at large, I can imagine that there's loads of issues within the office. Have you ever had to whistleblow or report a case or go over someone's head?
In a sense, yes.
Okay.
And there's like, whistleblowing isn't about necessarily writing an anonymous letter or a letter to a service manager. Sometimes it's sitting down and chatting to your manager and say, look, I like Mary, but, or look, I'm just going to be honest with you, boss. The way that this person is working with this young person, I don't agree with it. But I also know for a fact that some local authorities, they will hold on to a social worker, whether they're good or bad, because they have no other staff.
See, there's something wrong. That's not good at all.
That is real.
So they can keep a horrible or inadequate social worker.
They really should work with people. You know, when you start whistleblowing on your team, it creates real disharmony and real fear. So it's important, the way that they manage that is important, how to get the best outcomes. I've had to do it with a couple of people, but it's not that they should have been sacked. It's more just that they need to really adjust how they're approaching a situation with a family or young person. I was really not happy with it, because I think that some social workers can approach in a way that's not conducive to get good results. So on paper, they're doing their job, but their approach is making things worse, and it can escalate a family through the system because they're pressing buttons, they're triggering. Do you know what I mean?
Remember, I was like, oh, social workers need more power, Curtis, this isn't good enough. And you were like, no, that's not how it works. I operate from a place of authority. Can you enlighten me and the audience furthermore on the differences between working from a place of power and working from a place of authority?
So I think you and I spoke yesterday. You asked me, should social workers have more power? And I say no. Social workers don't need any more power than they already have. Social workers and police and the courts have limits in their power. People don't believe it because they're outcomes that they don't understand the dynamics of. So you're taking my child, or you're taking children out of homes. Social workers don't take children out of their homes, but we can recommend it to the police if it's an emergency. And those cases, they only happen through evidence. The police don't just come and take a child out of the home. They're going to say, why? Show me. What's the reasons? We don't agree that this is an emergency. We're not going to take the child. Social workers, I would be worried if a social worker had the ability to go in and say, I don't think this child's safe, take them out of the home. I will take them out of the home. I think that's dangerous. Because we've got checks and balances. The judges have checks and balances. We may not agree with all their answers, but a judge will have to refer to evidence. Whether we agree with them or not, he can't just say X. He's going to have to refer to law, previous cases, previous case law, and the evidence in front of him. He has to refer to me, the police, the parents. A lot of the time, judges go against social workers. People don't understand that one. But we only know that because we're in the courts. Judges are like, I don't agree. Work with this family. Head of service. Why are we taking this child out of home? No. Have you done X, Y, and Z? We're not in a rush for that. We spoke about this the last time, Miss Nessie. We spoke about this. So social workers walking and saying, imagine if I'm a black man and I come in and I see everyone drinking alcohol in the house, the kids there, and that's my judgment right there. Take the kid out of the home. Looking at this white family, or this white man comes up and sees all these black people in the house, people with hoods on, balaclavas. He's got a whiff of weed, not quite sure where it's coming from. Kids out the house. Imagine a world where we did that. Social workers cannot have any more power.
So the other people, the other organizations involved serve as accountability partners for social workers. So we don't need that insane amount of power.
We have strategy meetings, we have professionals meetings, we have core group meetings, we have network meetings. We have, what was it? Oh gosh, there's another meeting I just learned about yesterday. I can talk to the police directly,
Right.
you know, school, health. I can speak to the hospital. What's going on? Let's get together and have a chat. Let's have a vote. We have a strategy meeting. What do you guys reckon? Police, education, me, manager, another chair is there. 5 people roughly minimum in a strategy meeting. Could be more, could be 8 or 9.
You mentioned the word meeting and you've mentioned other organizations. Okay, first, I got this quote and it agrees with what you're saying for power. And it's by Aristotle. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So if we're to have all that power, problems will happen. How do you've one time mentioned something about the psychology of meetings, of multi-agency meetings, where the
Influence.
yeah,
Social.
yes. And you've also mentioned how, and other social workers as well have mentioned how difficult and complicated it can be working with other professionals when you know what's best, but you're not being respected. Speak to me about
Well,
that.
that in terms of respected, that's a vote. So when, other professionals might have a superiority complex. So meetings are generally virtual now. Yeah. Say it's a strategy meeting and you may be disrespected in a sense, or may be passive aggressive because they don't agree with you. So this family could have a long history of X. And then you've gone to the family, you've seen, actually, there is no risk here as a social worker, but everyone doesn't agree with you. They're like, no, it needs to go to child protection. And you're like, no, we can work with this family. But you could be socially pressured into saying, go down this road. I've done it twice. I will not do it again.
Mhm.
I've podcasted about this. Social influence is a powerful thing. Like people around you saying, Suzy, can't you see that this is a high risk? Suzy, when you do your assessments and you do your home visits properly, you have then seen you, Suzy. You have seen. You need to know what you're seeing. When people are talking to you, check if you're being hoodwinked. I've been accused of it.
This clients, is that what you're referencing?
Disguised compliance,
Yeah.
but also hoodwink, meaning that they're using means to trick you into not seeing what needs to be seen.
Right.
Right, by using, and it's very good. A lot of parents who are in the system for a long time know how to do it because they're either protecting a boyfriend that's abusive or protect, because they want to, they're protected. So they'll use implements. They've been in the system since they were children themselves, so they know how to do it. So what I'm saying to you is, I want you to look into the family's eyes and ask them direct questions and be very honest with them. Tell them what you know in a loving way and look at their micro expressions. Read their body language. Look at the children. Look at the house. And say to yourself, this is where I've been into a house where there's been one part of the house is tidy and the other part is real messy. And I was concerned about the mess, but then I saw the interactions between the family members and I saw the behaviors. The children love their parents. Their parents are not abusing them, but there's been concerns, extra familial concerns, yeah? And I'm like, no, we don't need to escalate this. The family's safe. That mess can be a mess. The kids are safe. Where someone might say, actually, we went to the flat, the police, you have to be careful with the police because they will put a different spin on a situation and alert everyone, thinking that you have to be very sure about yourself, just saying hello to these peoples. Different professionals have a different take on the same thing that you are seeing. So you have to be sure about what you're seeing and document it good so that when you turn up, don't let people shake you. 5 people have said, go this way. You're like, I don't agree. Stand your ground and look stupid. I will not do it again.
Another question I had was, see how you went into that home, you saw that the family was safe and you were confident and comfortable with that. Have you had cases where you've liked a family so much that it's affected your professional boundaries?
Yes.
What did that look like?
It looked like a family that had the exact same culture as me and were the same age as me.
Yeah.
Were relating to me. Luckily, there were no concerns, but I allowed them to cross the boundary of familiarity, which wasn't inappropriate blatantly. It was that I could feel that they'd switched off a part of my curiosity. And that's dangerous. Very dangerous, because then luckily the concerns that we had were out of the home.
Okay.
Nothing to do within the home. But if it was, again, if they were hiding something, I would have not seen it. It happens. Like, I'm being honest with you, it happens. This is why we have to be very critically reflective. Did they get me there?
Talk to me more about reflection. How do you put that into your schedule? Because do they give you certain hours for reflection? Okay. How do you reflect?
Well, if you're ASYE, yeah.
Apart from that, in your real career?
If you're supposed to do that yourself.
Okay.
You get supervision, like maybe once every 2 weeks or a month or whatever it's going to be. Everyone, Miss Nessie knows. But if you've got the capacity to do reflection, do it. My reflection is on this live. That's it. I ain't got no more time. Ain't no one reflecting more than me. I'm on this live.
Okay. Sure.
You know what? Actually, reflection does happen when you are talking with your colleagues. I've got a really good team that I'm in. My team is brilliant. Someone crying, I know. Yeah, hours. Yeah, so my team is brilliant. So sometimes I'll turn around and say, guys, I've got this case here. That's when your reflection happens. And they'll say, have you done this? Have you done that? Or why did they do this? Why did they do that? And they're like, have you checked this? You sugar, I should have checked that. Curtis, did you ask them this question? Did you ask them that question? And then we'll have a big 5, 10, 15, 20-minute discussion on it.
Oh, okay.
Just out of the blue. That's a good team. And most of your team will do that.
Okay.
You get me?
What do you do with office politics?
You got to be careful. Don't do it. Just stay out. Stay out.
Okay.
Stay out of office politics.
Okay. My next question was, in an ideal or utopian world, what would social work look like? If you could do anything, if you could restructure it, what would it look like? How would you restructure?
I'm going to do something else as well. I'm going to ask the audience to answer that question as well. Put your answers into that question. What would a utopian social work world look like? For me, it looks like enough people to do the job. It looks like we can take the time to do the work. One more thing, I want a service for every need. Early intervention. There's one more thing I want to do. I think there's a question I remember we spotted yesterday. Maybe I'm going to go a step ahead and say, I want a law that does not allow children to be with parents overnight without the other parent's permission.
Why?
Because children go missing and are in other people's homes. And parents have got them there, and there's no obligation for them to say, I've got Johnny in my house. And we've got 2, 3, 4 police officers looking for this kid, knocking on everyone's door. And the parents got the kid there. It should be illegal. Did you make an agreement with this parent that he could stay here overnight? No, then that's a criminal offense. It's a form of abduction, in my opinion. And yeah, and they won't report it to the police. I'm not happy about it. But that's my take on it.
I like the views that you've put out for the utopian world, because that's going to help me if I'm to advocate on something, and advocate within my career. What you've just said now, that's the foundation for my advocacy. Because 100%, I'm not going to go in and just be a social worker. I have to advocate on the side, because so long as I'm there in that career, changes need to happen.
Yeah. I think there are some of us that are just happy to do social work. It's not many, though. It's a minority because we're leaving at a fast rate. But if you come into social work, have a vision for what you want to achieve in reality. That will help you not to be walking in there with delusions. You will not come in to save the world. You may not save, you most likely will not save a family. But if
So,
you do, it's 1 in 100.
so I wanted to ask, in terms of the cases you've worked over the years, what was your biggest and greatest triumph in a case, and what was one of the hardest cases you ever worked?
Um, it's hard to answer that because I wasn't ready for that one. But that's okay. I can think of.
We can do another live. That would be another
We
privilege.
could. All right. Yeah, I would like to answer that question. I could answer it in part, but we can ask it again another day. Let me try and answer it this way. My biggest triumph is working with a family that hated social workers. It took me months to get them to trust me. Even though they trusted me, half of them hated social workers and half of them didn't. That was my biggest triumph. And I'm looking at it on the scale of time and effort. Yeah, I think for a family, they were always going to be in the system. They're never coming out of the system. So the most that I could bet, or most that I could hope for, was that they would just trust me, allow me in a home, have discussions, and that is it.
These are good conversations to have because I'm going into this career very, very, very naive. Very naive.
I got a question here. Not anymore, you're not. You are enlightened. Do you
Yeah.
think not having a statutory placement puts in a bad position when qualifying? It depends on your work experience. I would say to you students, like, try and find your own placement. Go to youth offending teams. That's a good place to go.
That's what I'm trying to say. In some unis, you're not allowed to choose your own placement, and in other unis, you can. And in some unis, one of your placements has to be something you don't want and you don't want to specialize in.
Yeah, that's right. They're going to make you do adults and children.
Yeah.
I don't like, like for me, I already had statutory residential experience.
Yeah,
So
you
I was
did.
never going to tolerate them putting me in a residential home. I was going to be very annoyed by that. In my uni, they didn't want me to, but I had to, because they were struggling for placements. I said, I've got a manager, a service manager, who will take me on. And I twisted their arm.
So it's perseverance, persistence, and networking. Because I've built networks within social work, but
But you know why? Because they've got to insure me. They've got to have an agreement between me and the service, and that work has already been done. So there's a member of staff there that gets the placements agreed legally for insurance and assessment purposes. For me to say, I've got John up here who will take me on, they've got to go through all the admin, and they don't want to have to do that. They just want to just click a button and send you.
so social worker and mentor put network with social workers and managers, and all that stuff. But for you as Curtis, as an individual, one thing I loved about your YouTube channel and all your channels was the variety of networks you have across the NHS and social workers from opposite fields from you. Talk to me about networking, why it's important, and how do you maintain your networks or make a network in the first place?
So when you say network, sorry, there's a question for you afterwards, by the way. But when you say maintain my networks, you mean with all the social workers that I know?
Social work, people outside of social work.
I have a lot of friends. Some of those people are my friends. I don't necessarily say that, but they're people I work with, or have worked with, and I think, oh, you can articulate. Let's go. Remember, I've been in this for years. Talk to people. Miss Nessa, talk to people. When you're in social work, You're going to talk to people. You're going to network whether you want to or not. For you to not network means your eyes are shut. So over the next, you know, when you qualify, even when you're doing your placement, network. See me, when I'm in placement, you know what I'm doing? When I was working in a yacht, when I was working in residential, you know what I was doing? I was making a note of who's who. I was making a note of their systems. I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna speak to this person. I'm gonna know that head of service. I'm on a mission. I don't go into this thinking I'm just ticking boxes. I'm on a mission. I'm doing my thing. Call it hustle. Someone's asking you a question here. It's Mary.
Awesome.
Yeah. Can you see it? How far are you in your placement? They're asking, I think.
They're asking me.
I think so. How far are you in your placement, and what would you say is one thing that you didn't expect to happen when starting placement? Are you in placement?
I want to say, hi, Mary. I'm a first-year student. I'm new to everything. That's why I'm on this live. I'm asking all the questions before I even go into placement so that I know how to present myself. But no, I haven't even started my placement. Literally first year.
Yeah. Yeah, make your voice known. Like, say hello to someone. Like, say hello to a service manager, a director. Say hello to them. That's it. Like, I've had to speak. Obviously, when you're placing a child in care, like under Section 20, you have to speak to service managers sometimes. So make an impression. Like, just be yourself. Do not brown nose. Do not kiss anyone's ass. Be yourself.
Yes, I'm undergrad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just be yourself.
Be yourself, man. Don't act. No one cares. This is social work. You're gone.
I wanted to say, thank you for giving me this platform. What made you give? Yeah, I'm in your class. Oh, I don't know if they're in my class. What made you give me the privilege of being on this platform, and why do you think it's important that students' voices are being heard?
I love that question because that question points to the reason why I did this in the first place. When I started studying, I was looking for resources to help me study because of my learning style and because of the short amount of time that I had, which is why I wrote about it and I started to do videos about it. If I have this much space to study this much information, I have a learning style that I can learn very quickly, but there was nothing out there. And I think that I've spoken to enough parents who can't do the degree because they don't think they've got the capacity. Or people who think that they've got limited capacity. Oh, someone was going to naughty question there.
Oh, hi, Anna.
I want people to know that they have a space to ask questions. You can go to my Patreon account, and subscribe, and you can get questions answered whether you're on placement or not. I didn't have this, and I'm like, if social work is hard enough, why don't we have a space where students can come and learn? That's my priority. And if you go to my podcast, it is like, listen to what I have to say. It's not just me, it's other people talking about it too, about what to expect and how to avoid the pitfalls going to social work. So if you ask me, I think that a lot of people go into social work thinking X and it's actually Y.
That was about to be me before I got the wisdom.
Yeah. So that's what it is about. Curtis, what's the most you can make as a social worker on locum?
This is the question that gets you in trouble. Don't get excited about the pay.
Let me tell you something, right? Generally speaking, the more you earn, just as a flat social worker, you know, not manager or anything like that, the most you can earn, the more you earn is the more work you're getting. I want you to know that it's basically a rope that you tie around your neck, 70 bags, more than that. It's a rope you tie around your neck here. And the more money you earn is the more work you get, is the tighter the rope gets. I'm just saying.
That is such a morbid and scary example.
So that means don't chase the money unless you've got the back to take the load. Now, if you've got a level of experience, you could earn minimum 70. I'm going to leave it there. The price cap for locum Yeah, that's a London thing at the moment. But out of London, look, the price cap. Um, I had an interesting experience with that, and it was very negative as well, and it was poorly communicated. But you know, local authorities, every local authority, especially in the south, I'll speak. No, actually, every local authority is low on staff. Yeah, they've got the budget for the staff, but they're low on staff. He's saying £38 an hour. Depends where you're working, mate. Um, there's something I was going to say. I'm easily distracted sometimes. Every local authority is low on staff, and they will pay the cap. There is a cap. The London Agreement is the cap, but when you're low on staff, you're going to have to readdress that. They tried to impose it at one time on me. Outside of London, you can get more than that. You can no, making me laugh. You know, he's actually putting it out there. You can get more than that. You can get about 4. I know someone who's on 48, but they had to relocate a few days a week, and they're working. When you relocate or when you're working from home, let me tell you, you put in a lot of work. You know, you're not working 35 hours, 36 hours. You're working like 45, 50.
Yeah, that's a question I had for you. What is the reality of working remotely? And do you get to work remotely often? Is that across all local authorities?
Yeah, pretty much. It depends on the team, but generally speaking, in social work and even like family practitioners and youth workers, you're working off your own back unless you're on duty. You can get 57 an hour. I'm there, bro. Tell me where that is. DM, man. You working from home, you work harder. You work more hours. Like I said the other day, I was working around a kitchen table for I think 5 hours before I stopped. Meeting after phone call, and I'm hitting an assessment that needed to be done really quickly. So I'm doing an assessment and talking about other children at the same time. Someone says here, work for the love of supporting the family. That's an interesting debate. I'm going to leave that there.
You have to do that with boundaries and with leash.
Yeah, you can put the family first, but I think when you have your own family, then your ethics will change.
Yeah, I think it's Shells who said every single child is important, including my children.
Yeah, my children do come first, but unfortunately, they're not always first. The reality is my children are not always first. And that's what the job has done. But hopefully my plans will pay off, and they will be. I'm being very honest, like my wife and I have put in a lot of work into our children in terms of building relationships and maintaining them. Without that, my children would be lost. You know, we've put in the work beforehand, and we have good relationships with them, which is life-saving. Question. You know, people want these. Look, you know, the locum, it's a lifestyle. It's not easy. But, you know, we do a lot of work. I will not sit here and let anyone, I hear it on the news about, oh, agency workers earning all that money. Do you know what we do? Do you know what we do?
They couldn't survive a day in your life.
People talk down on it because they think a lot of money. Look, you could pay me £100 an hour. I would still be as broken as I am. Like, the money can take you so far. Let's be real. If someone's paying you £100 an hour to walk into a burning building, does it mean you will get burnt less? If they pay me £1 million to do that job, I'm still going to be the exact same way. Might be a little bit happier, but I will have lost so much.
It'd be very draining.
Come on. So people talk about the money. Yes, the money's great. But we pay a price. And that is with our life, like with our families, with our mental health, our physical health. It's a price. I've got good social workers around me who are struggling. Doesn't matter how much they're getting paid. Okay, someone's got here. Someone asked me, any advice for future social work students? Maybe Suzy could answer a bit of that. I don't know.
That's what the whole life is. That's what this was.
Do you know anyone who works in the Home Office.
That's for
Sort of. Talk to the social work mentor. He knows someone who works in a Home Office. He's there in the show. So do you have a question? Sorry, would you say something?
I was saying that's what this whole life is advice for being a social worker.
Rachel, has the demands of social work ever put me off social work? No. I think I'm built for the demands of, I'm built for the demands of what families bring. I'm built for that. I'm not built for everything else. Like the administrative areas is my weak suit. My manager will tell you that. I'm not the best writer. I try to be, but I'm not. That's my weak area. I'm always working on it. Locum is hard. See, someone said it. Locum is hard. There was always that extra pair of eyes on locum workers. Sort of. It depends on your manager. Pay a big price. That's right. We pay a big price. Yeah, someone or social workers in policy. I'm not sure what that means, but yeah.
I wanted to ask you: is there any books, films, TV series, anything that you enjoy watching as a social worker, or that you probably don't enjoy watching as a social worker? Is there any?
I don't watch much films, but I found out I'm into crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, books. It's a shame because I've got a big bookshelf here, yeah,
Wow.
and it's got a social care section in it. I don't read enough of it, but I like to read journal articles, and I like to watch documentaries on complex. I've got a lot of that on my feed. Complex dilemmas in social care and mental health. I look at a lot of that.
Do you have any favorite directors of these documentaries, or any favorite people?
No, Dispatches and Panorama.
Oh yeah, that's
Why? I'm going to call out Panorama actually. By the way, just before I say about Panorama, social work mentors advice about do not chase the money, and he's absolutely right. Don't chase the money too early. It will mess you up. Read serious case reviews. Yes, so there's one. Read serious case reviews. So I read some of these and I address them in my podcast or TikToks. I like that complex cases. Also, and yeah, look at what we can learn from them. That's the point of them as well. Panorama did a very bad thing to social work. It's more than once. Dispatches has done it as well. Those are the two main journalist-based documentaries. They present social work in a negative and in a way unfair light. Social care does make mistakes, but you can't understand mistakes unless you read a serious case review or read the case papers for a public. For a case that's been made public, like Baby P. You can't understand it. You can't understand the failures of social services until we have seen both sides of the coin. So I'm also very critical of how the media has been, and this question I didn't answer earlier, why have we been allowed, why social work been allowed to just maintain its negative image? The government is very corporate in its approach to society. They only respond to things that threaten them. So social work has always had its neck on the block. What we have to do is we have to have more forums. There's a lot more people out here. They're listening today. Thank you for you all joining. There are people out here, even yourself, Suzy. Please follow her channel. Trying to change the face of social work by presenting a narrative that is true to what social work is, whether you're a student or experienced. The government haven't allowed that to happen, and it's dangerous because we are government agents. And what they need to do is really work with us. They are not fit to present what's going on. They need to work with us, use our platforms and fund or promote our platforms as a voice to promote what social work is about, because what it does is it safeguards society. If society hates us, it's difficult to work with them. People lie when we turn up to the door because they're scared of what we'll do, because they were watching EastEnders and Panorama. The government, we are government agents, and we are doing the groundwork. They need to pour energy into us to help people understand what is really going on for social work.
So if you could create a series or a documentary or a piece, what would that look like? What would that include?
A day in the life of 20 social workers in children's services. Success stories and failures. Honesty, that transparency. That documentary would be privately done with Netflix, for which I would get maybe $1 million so that I could live that life. But it would be an independent documentary because we will not be supported. I mean, a black man's face is not going to be at the forefront of social work now.
No, but that's also a good thing, that it would be independently created, because then you wouldn't be influenced by other people's ideas and you wouldn't be edited or marketed to fit a certain box.
No.
Black man that high up in a place of that caliber would be fantastic for our people. And you also have an angle where you would understand things differently and approach things differently. So I think it's going to happen. I think it's possible. That's why I asked the question on purpose.
Yeah. I feel you on that. And I'm into videography. I've got my camera up there and I've got all kind of equipment and stuff like that. I've been into videography for years. I'm willing to do that off my own back. And that's something I've been planning for a while. To present narratives and even mini documentaries on social work. Social work, the demands of social work don't allow me capacity fully yet, but it's coming. Miss Cynthia, I don't know if you're talking about me, but I'm taking a compliment anyway, Cha. Yeah, so it needs to be done because it means that we can save more people if they're willing to work with us.
I would love to work on that. I would love to work on that. 1,000% going to happen within the next decade, or even shorter than that.
Someone saying here, Curtis and Nana, I feel like there should be a general database where social workers can search info about a family known to another local authority, just like the police database. Yeah, that's not happening. And there's a good reason why that shouldn't happen, to be fair. That's in the youth justice, that's in across social services. I can't find out, like, yeah, I won't go there. You know, there's families that might come into public knowledge or just social media knowledge. Let me go and look up that family. No, I'm not allowed to do that. If I look at a case that doesn't belong to me and I don't have a good reason, I will lose my job. Simple. Let me say and leave that there. Bring me in. This needs to be done. Yeah. Yeah, man, let's do it. I mean, this is something I've been planning for a while. I can in my team. Yeah. Not sure what's going on. Yeah. Do you have any more questions?
Me? No, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me. Curtis has been a mentor. I literally just met Curtis in December. He's been so supportive, and his advice has almost changed the trajectory of my career. I still want to be a social worker. I think I want to be a social worker even more, having his advice and having these open, honest conversations. Curtis has been a supportive person, a mentor, someone I really look up to in every facet of life, holistically. So thank you, Curtis, for everything.
Hey, listen, I appreciate it. And it was through the social worker mentors gig that we met. So I appreciate them too. You got one thing to say. I think Nana wants to come on.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
One sec. There'll be three of us. You'll bring him on.
Wait.
Child is stating that the family known to another local. We do have access to that child, but not for the reason. Only. Sorry, Nana. Before you say anything, QT, I just want to be clear. It's useful when a child is staying with a family known to another local authority. We do have access to that information. So if I request it, I can get that information, but only if it's relevant to my case. But I can't just say I want to check them out. You're not going to be able to do that, and that's the law. Yes, sir. What are you saying?
I'm good, you know.
Take a selfie. It's a screenshot. Because when was this gonna happen? Wait. I don't even know.
I just took one.
Okay, great.
Nah, do you know what? Just to say, Suzy, because I know we met at my event, but do you know one thing that I think needs to change, that I think needs to happen, is that I think universities as well, the curriculum in terms of social work does need to change, because I don't think, Suzy, that is serving students across the UK who are going into field well, to be honest with you. And as Curtis said, I mean, you know, we didn't have any podcasts that, you know, when we were all qualifying. Do you know what I mean? This is something that was very much new. But I think the university curriculum for social work, whether it's masters or bachelors or step ups, completely needs to change, because it doesn't give any of you the justice in terms of what you're going to be actually dealing with out there in the field. They don't. And I think a lot of the lecturers are not telling you what Curtis has told you today or what I've actually said. What Curtis has told you, and honest with you, he's not even giving you justice. He's giving you like a small portion or even or not even of what you're going to be dealing with, but your lecturers on your course need to be telling you all these things, because you lot are next gen. Curtis is me, we're nearly 10 years in, but you guys are next gen social workers who are going to be coming up. So your lecturers need to be telling you that this is what you're going to be dealing with when you go out there. When you go on a home visit, you're going to have a family tell you to F off. You're going to have families who can tell you to lie. You're going to have people who don't like the job that we do. Do you know what I mean? But they need to, Curtis, be telling the students this, you know, and I have contacted some universities to say that you've got to change the curriculum, because I don't think it's serving you guys very well, Suzy. It's not, you know. It isn't serving you guys well at all. It's not.
This is why I had this is one of the downsides to doing those 1.5 year courses, or even a master's. You look, to be fair, like I said, some of us are ready because we've been on the front line. If you've been a family practitioner or youth worker, the only thing that you've got to contend with is the paperwork, because you've got experience. But
Yeah.
for those of us who are just coming in, someone just mentioned here, I don't think I'm not being taught this. We do need all that theory and understanding.
Yeah, you
the
do.
ethics. We need to understand the law, but that needs to take time. So for those of us who are coming in from another career or fresh out of uni, you do need to have this kind of fast track discussion.
Yeah, you do.
This is safeguarding your practice. I mean, if we come in and support you like this, like what we're doing now, the generation coming in, your generation, will be okay.
You're going to be armed. You'll be armed. You'll be pretty much armed. I mean, especially if you want to go into child protection or assessments, you're going to be armed, because as soon as you come out and you do your, you know, your ASYE and you qualify, you know, even Suzy, what you said about going on to placement, being aware of your title, being a student social worker. So regardless of what placement you're going to be going into, you are a student social worker. So you're going to be going in, and people know that you're going to be studying to do a job that they don't even want you to be in their house. Do you know what I mean? So
Right.
what does it mean to be a student social worker? So your title going in on placement, you're studying to do a job that's hated. Do you know what I mean? So these conversations here that Curtis is having or we're having, these are things that you also need to be thinking about when you go on placement. So I'm a student social worker. What does that mean? How am I going to be perceived by this young person or this family?
Right.
Imagine you've got a family you're working with and they don't even like social workers, let alone a student studying to be a social worker. So you have to also, Suzy, arm yourself
Right.
with that as well. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what I said to my last student when I had her, when she qualified last year. I armed her to be ready, and now she's out there. Do you know what I mean? So you need to be arming yourself when you're ready in terms of perception. Your PCF, the main one, professionalism. What does it mean to be a student social worker? So you know the rainbow. So
Yeah.
you're looking at point of entry. That's what you're looking at, point of entry. So just remember to think about the rainbow and think about, what does that mean for me being a student social worker, point of entry on placement. These are things you need to be looking at.
Just to be clear on what you're saying, I learned that when I was using the PCF, I had a really good educator, practice educator. She was brilliant. And she said to me, it's a set of glasses. when you are in your placement, let's say you're working in children's home. Let's just even take it to children's home, and you see PCF2, which is gosh, I can't remember what it is now.
That is university, bruv. That is an epic. What's wrong with you, Curtis, man?
Thank you. But I got it mixed up with 3.
Yeah, with 3.
I actually know them, but I just remember I just mixed up 2 and 3. Where's the diversity here, and what does it mean to you?
Yeah.
When you look at PCF 7, intervention and skills, like, what did you do today, and why did you do it? That's it. It's not hard, you know. This is the easiest part of the game. You're gonna tick those boxes for your degree. That's why I said I got a first. It's not hard. It's just you've got to just put on the glasses.
Yeah.
What do you see through PCF 8? What do you see? Organizations and institutions. What do you see? Well, I recommended this service to this person because it would help with this. That's the easy part. But you got to put on the goggles. Get the fear. Get the mindset in gear. Suzy, let me tell you something. I'm going to say it again to students, yeah, especially in your age group. Don't worry about people. Don't worry about people.
Yeah.
You know what you're going to do? You're going to help them. And if they reject you, they reject you. Don't worry about ageism. This is not a problem for you. Your problem is you. Not you, Suzy, but if you're worrying about how good I am, that's your problem.
Yeah.
Not the people. They need your help. The vast majority of time, people are gonna be open to
work with you.
It's a small minority that don't want to, and even then, some of them you can work with.
And you can change things. And you can change things, Suzy, as well. Students, you're young. You're going into your placement. You're gonna have new ways of working, new ways. Remember, you're gonna have a lot of social workers who are very stuck in their way. Bring fresh ideas when you're on placement. Yeah, they may try and shut you down. Okay.
Let's address that.
If
you got team members who are being funny with you, balls to them. Do you do what you got to do to get your degree and get your balls to them?
Yeah, that means you're doing something right. That means you're doing something right. Yeah, that means you're doing. If you rattle cages, you're doing something right. Yeah.
I've got 2 things. The first thing is I think we should do a whole nother live, us 3 or more, about racism.
What about racism?
I don't agree with it. I don't know. It's one of my favorite topics. And then I think I wanted to ask, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time?
Curtis, you gonna go first, man?
Yeah, I see myself watching myself on Netflix.
Yeah, no, that's what it's gonna be. Yeah.
10 years' time, I'm carving out that vision more so. There's more to it. I'm doing so many different things. Carving out that vision is important. And this is the beginning of it. Yeah, I'll leave that there.
For me, listen, Director of Children's Services, that is where I'm going to be sitting.
Wow.
That's exactly where I'm going to be sitting. So, do you know what? My last LA local authority that I was in, when I left here, the director said to me, "Oh, you never know, you'll come back, and be doing my job." I said, "Yeah, I will." I said, "Yeah, I will. I will." It was a bit kind of like, if I was joking, I said, "No, I'm taking your job. Actually taking your job." But yeah, no, that's where my head is at right now. For me, I want to change the face of social work in terms of leaders. Like they need. For me, I think they need a young black man up there. They do.
You need to shout.
Yeah, the glass seat. Like I said, I'm not even far from there. I'm only like I'm only 4 positions down from there, innit? So I'm not far. So it's within my reach. It's there. But that's what I want to do. I think the shape of social work and the culture of social work and who is actually there needs to be changing. You need a lot more younger people who are there. So that's what I want to do, to be honest with you. And I one thing I do hope, because there's a lot of podcasts out there, I do hope, I've told Curtis this was going to happen, that I do hope that we can do like a multifaceted podcast event, that includes a lot of podcasts out there, because I think generically it's something that social work needs, we need to be able to have these kind of open discussions, you know, because social work needs to change. We're not respected. Look at all these people striking, and yet we don't strike, and we're still here, you know.
Do you know what's interesting? Oh gosh, look, I can't imagine striking knowing that there's people in need. I don't get me wrong, I'm not looking down on the nurses. I think that they don't get paid enough. That's the real deal. I mean, this is why I'm locum. I don't know how much I want to go into this again. But yeah, I don't know how we would strike. I mean, the work is a professional qualification. You can't just strike in social work. I think it's just a dangerous thing to do. Lockdown was an example of how dangerous it's been, because when we are not there for 5 minutes, it is bad. When we don't get to see families, it's bad. Yeah, go on.
But Curtis, but then you say that we shouldn't strike, and this is Suzy where.
And I'm not saying we shouldn't. I just don't know.
But the thing is, yeah, this is the thing. But this is the irony of it. We don't strike, but we're the most criticized. You see how that don't make sense? We don't strike, but we're one of the most criticized professions out there, and we're still here. But others strike and
But you know, I think with that, I think that striking might not be for us. I think that is something else that we need to do, which is what we're starting to do now. Because, you know, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
And I worry that, you know, that bandwagon, that the post office, the nurses, the teachers, who else is there? The firemen, there's going to be the police next. That's not for social work. That would not go down the same way.
No, it wouldn't, because we leave so many children vulnerable when we go and do that. You know what I'm saying? But that's all the more reason why we need to be respected as a profession, because we wouldn't strike because knowing the vulnerable children we leave. So that's all the more reason why you need to give us our props. Do you know what I mean? Because we're the ones who don't walk out.
Yeah.
You know?
I was going to say Nana Mento. I don't know. No. DM me if there's something you need in the Midlands. Let's have a look at it, because London is quite rich with lots going on. But there will be. I've got a couple of ideas for events that are going to be hooked up very soon. I've got a really good mentor who's inspiring me as well. If the Midlands does need it, I think the Midlands in every facet. Sorry, nurses are professionals. My mistake. The Midlands has been left out of everything. The Midlands has been. This is why you had all those Brexit voters. That you had the highest percentage. You guys have been left out. I don't know where you are in terms of your voice, but let's talk. DM me afterwards, please. Who's that? Nana, mentor.
Yeah. But Curtis, you know what you've done with Suzy today. And Suzy, I think it's good you've done this Q&A. That multifaceted event, we have to actually do it. I think we need to do it for social workers, not a community care one, but I think there needs to be a podcast event with myself, yourself, Suzy, others, because I think students, other social workers need it. It shouldn't be a fair, but you need something like this. We need to be able to have this space. It's important. It is for social workers, future social workers who are upcoming.
Absolutely. This is not a problem to organise. We'll do this, and we can work together on it as well.
Definitely.
And throughout the UK, I think it's fair as well. But I'm open to that. We'll hit that, and when the weather's a little bit better for man and man. It was cold today. Cold, wet, and windy.
No.
Oh, it's cold right now.
No. But Curtis, listen, I'm out. Yeah, Suzy, we'll talk. Suzy, thanks for front-loading the petition for me, please. Though we've only got like 2,055 signatures. Though I need 10,000. Like I don't understand. Yeah,
consistency and persistence, bro.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep plugging it, man. I need that 10,000 signatures, and then at least the government can respond to me. Do you know what I mean? But no, we'll make it happen. Definitely make it happen.
Yeah. Take care, bro. Thank you.
Take care. Yeah, I'll be in the background, innit? Take care. Take care, Suzy.
Bye.
Bye.
Suzy, I guess we have to set another session up. We've got planned. This is really good.
Thank you. Thank you so much as well. Thank you. Thank Nana. Thank everyone. And thank people for the support, because I thought they like seeing Curtis. That's their main person. That platform is what having someone new coming in might have been a bit awkward. But yeah, thank you everyone.
No, I appreciate you. Please tell us what your channel title is, your handle?
Oh, mine's is social work survival files. So socialwork.survival.files. And it's just a compilation of my mistakes, my achievements, my experiences, and also ideas I have. There's a lot of book recommendations that have been shared and that will continue to be shared. But yeah, that's who I am. I stand for justice, advocacy. I'm not just social based. Um, there's a lot more to my life. I'll tell you later. But I started off as a youth advocate, still there, but I'm also going into social work.
Wicked. We
Also,
need. You're going to
DM, DM me. Everyone, just DM me.
right. This is it. Now, look, guys, follow her page, please. It's only fair. Suzy's going to come up with some new posts real quick. Still, we need some more from her, right? And we look forward to another session. No problem, guys. If you want support, of course, go to Suzy, because as much as we just starting off on the journey is a lot of learning and support just from your stage in the journey.
Right.
I want you to know that. I want you to be commended for your bravery to come here and have this. You said, can we have a Q&A? Also, I want you to look. I want you to. I just got distracted. What was I going to say? I want people to subscribe to your channel, and if you want individual one-to-one support for your studies or your practice, go onto my Patreon channel. So what you do is you click the link in my bio, and it will take you to a range of everything that I've got going on. I've got a few people on it that I support as well. Even people on placement, when they're like, oh, how do you do this assessment? What am I missing? Or I've had people who I'm helping with their assessment, their assignments. Yes, just message me and we'll work it out. That is it. I'm gonna shut up now because I can talk, you know.
Can you take another screenshot?
All right, what, you want to smile or what? You want to?
Also, do we get is this live being saved?
It will be saved, man. Have to.
Yay! Thank you so much.
Miss Nessie in the background, thank you for supporting.
Oh yeah, Miss Nessie's been the best.
Guys, please give Suzy, before we go, just give her a round of applause or whatnot. Miss
Oh.
Nessie, a round of applause. Some of you else, there's a couple of people I want to just thank. There was Miss Cynthia or someone like that. Miss Cynthia, that's it. I can't remember who else there was. Any questions, just message us. We ain't going until you give that love to Suzy.
Oh no, I just want to shout out to my little cousin Izzy. She wants to be a social worker, and I told her to come on this live. So shout out to Izzy. I love you. Yeah, I'm done.
Lovely. Guys, take care. I'll see you next Monday. I don't know what the show is, but I'll see you next Monday at 8.
Bye. It's my bedtime.
Bye.